What's up guys, Shane here, and we're taking a look at some helmets today. So I've been accruing these over the past, several months I would say. I've been buying these. This one is actually a gift from someone. It was very nice of them to get that for me. But I've been really wanting these helmets because I think they're really cool. My least favorite is Red 5. I wasn't sure I was going to get it, but I ended up getting it. Actually wasn't a bad build. What I want to do today is, instead of doing individual videos on each one of these, I thought I would just talk briefly about each one and have a little time lapse going down in a corner somewhere of me building each one of these. So I built one each night, or a few nights a week I was spending. These take, I don't know, like 2-ish hours or less than that. I kind of had some YouTube going, had some music going, and just worked on building these. And each one, surprisingly, very different for the substructure of each one of the builds. Now the bases are all identical for all of these, which is great because it's really easy to remember how to build those. But the actual substructure inside each of these helmets is very different. So I'm going to go through each one of these and we'll talk about them. Up first is StarLord. Now StarLord was very interesting because it's a hollow build, because it's not a complete helmet. He kind of just taps his ear and it wraps around his face and the back of his head. So that made a very interesting build because, again, there's nothing inside. So basically this is the 3 panels. So you have the rear panel, each of the sides, and then the front is made up of multiple panels on hinges to be able to get some of the articulation and some of the angles that are needed. And plus these, like, I don't know, not oxygen, but these breathing apparatuses that are here on the bottom kind of just hinge on with a ball joint, which makes it also very easy to do. But again, it has this very large piece in the front. Most of these don't have any like super large pieces. They're just built, they're like brick built. But this one does have the very large printed piece here. And then it has some sticker elements for the eyes. And I think that's it for sticker elements on this one. So very, very few. Some of them have a lot of stickers. Some have more printed pieces. Some have different build methods. But again, this one, that's it for the build. So mainly this is kind of like 3 pillars that are stood up. So each of the sides and the front. And then the back kind of just hooks on with only a few studs. All of these helmets use snots, so studs not on top, so the sides are really laden with a ton of snots or studs on the sides to be able to actually attach each of these panels onto them. But yeah, StarLord, very, very cool build. This one was probably the shortest one. It's one of the lowest piece counts as well, with a total of, what is it? Let's see, where's his box at? I have all the boxes here for them. So StarLord is only 602 pieces. All of them come in this, the box, basically the 18+ box. A little bit of art on the side of them as well. But, and this one does have the tab that some people get very upset about. I really don't care because I don't keep boxes except to do this video. But yeah, so that is StarLord's helmet. So next up, we have the Scout Trooper. This one's actually less than StarLord's helmet is, which is surprising, but I guess StarLord does have a lot of small details in it. This one is a ton of studs, and actually most of the Stormtrooper helmets are a ton of studs. Not a whole lot of tile pieces to kind of smooth them out. But yeah, 471 pieces. Again, has a little bit of the art on the side of the box in the classic 18+. Now this one obviously is all black, because it's Star Wars, where the Marvel ones have the red border on them, but this is for the Star Wars ones. Now this one is a complete box that is built inside, and these visors, the 2 sides get put on, the top gets on much earlier than the sides do. But it's a complete box, and it's actually quite heavy in comparison. The StarLord one doesn't seem as heavy, I think because just the pieces are smaller. There is a ton of plates when you build the Stormtrooper helmets, especially this one, because there are so little. If you look at this, there's not much white, or not much any other color than white on this build. And that makes it very difficult to really identify the pieces, especially here on my white table. Very difficult to do that. But again, it's using some very cool angled pieces in here, some hinges and whatnot, to get this very cool snout of the helmet I think this is one of my favorites. I just really like the way the visor is and how that came down and how true to the helmet it actually looks. Some of them, I mean, they all look really close to it, but this one, I feel like this one really hit it spot on. And I really just like the way that the angles are and the earpieces. But again, so this one is built as a full box inside. And this one actually is built, was it this one or some of the other ones? But several of these actually start with the helmet and not the base. And a few of them start with the base and then go up to the helmet. So it's very interesting to see how some of these different bases kind of lock in. This one was a base and then built up. But some of the other ones you can really see how they kind of lock in before, you know, or how it builds the top and then the base goes on and then locks in. But again, the base is identical to all the other ones. But yeah, I think this one is the coolest, one of the hardest to build and most time consuming again, because it is so many white plates. So many white plates. It's almost entirely white plate, few white tiles here and there, but it definitely makes for a more challenging build. All right, next up we have Princess Leia's helmet. This one is 670 pieces. Again, it is the all black for Star Wars, a little bit of art on the back of the box, and actually one of the bigger boxes, this one, and I think, was it Rex or Cody? I think Commander Cody was the second largest box. But this is a pretty cool build. Oh, I forgot to mention that there's quite a lot of stickers. There's no printed pieces on the Scout Trooper. Now here for Princess Leia, again, no printed pieces. There are a few sticker elements. I think there's maybe half a dozen different ones on here, but the detailing is pretty cool. There are so many slopes in this build to be able to get the nice kind of rounded top of the helmet, because the way she wears it, the helmet kind of goes on top and then kind of has the mouthpiece there. So this one looks like a little more enclosed than what it looks like in the movie. But this snout just really just clips in there with, you know, 2 Technic pins, how that goes in there on an angle. And it just really, really fits the build for that. Now this is one of the ones that we built the helmet and then we went ahead and connected on the base to it. 1 second here. Anyways, for this one, again, there are no printed pieces, all stickers on here, but the way the snout looks, just how that kind of comes out, the way the green is for the visor, just using some transparent green pieces or for like the top part there. Very, very cool build on how it's done. Very technical on how a lot of the tile work goes on the top here. I honestly had missed several parts of this, just the way I was building, and then on the side I also missed a few pieces. A lot of brown, a lot of dark brown, dark reddish brown on this one, and then this like tan. So it was just a little bit hard to follow because I was getting a little ahead of myself in the instructions. But still very different techniques, the way that this was done, again with the Technic pins actually holding on an entire piece instead of just panels going on. Obviously it does have several of the panels that go on for the back. The helmet kind of is a multitude of different panels kind of put together from the sides to the back as well. But again, just some of the little greebling here on the side, just give it that little bit more texture to it. This was a very cool build. I really like this one. Next up, we have Luke Skywalker in Red 5. So this is his Red 5 helmet from A New Hope, or I guess he was always Red 5 really. But again, box, all black, a little bit of art work here on the back, some pictures from the movies, which is very cool to give a little bit of reference. So it's kind of nice to see the reference of what really the Lego builder designers were looking at when they were designing these helmets. Now, this one has the tallest base because the base goes all the way up, where StarLord's was kind of hollow from like top down, so they could put the base to the bottom. This helmet is hollow from bottom up, so very different. It can't really be hidden like all the other helmets in there. It has to go through there. The eyeglass pieces, like the visor, I think that was pretty spot on. Very, very cool. The chin strap's a little flimsy. I have dislocated it several times to also include the very, very small microphone piece here for the voice. Also did that a few times. Quite a lot of sticker pieces, but also this has the most printed pieces that I have noticed for most, because the entire mohawk, I'll call it, Going down the center, these great big dishes are print, and then of course the Rebel logos are all printed pieces, and then there's quite a few sticker pieces on each side to also include like the caution ones here. This is also the only one that I have that uses the tubes, the Lego tube pieces, to be able to have kind of those more, just a little more detail to it. It is quite a lot of white plate as well. It's not quite as thick though, because in here you actually have like ear pads, which are very cool. Like I was surprised they actually would do that, kind of just how it, like the cushion of the helmet, they incorporated that into the build. Again, very interesting how they were able to get this big swoop on it, because a lot of the ones, they're a little boxy, they're kind of rounded, but a little boxy. Where this one, it feels very much more round because of all of the slope work that they did to be able to have it have that look. Very interesting on how they were built, just because they had to really kind of click into place and you had to build from bottom up on this one. But still, I think it came out great. I like a few things about it. And again, there's a few things I don't like about it. Definitely not my favorite. I didn't honestly want this one in the beginning, but now looking at it, having built it, I was like, you know what? That wasn't too bad. I kind of enjoyed that, and I like the way it looks now, so it's not bad. All right, and here we have Commander Cody. Now, Commander Cody is from the Clone Wars, the animated TV show, if you're unfamiliar with it. I've only seen very little bits of it, but I really like the way that his helmet looks. There's a bit of artwork and then some of the actual snippets from the show here on the box. This one is 766 pieces. So we're kind of moving up in the amount of pieces, because this is a very heavy, very dense build, because his helmet on these, I think he'd be considered like a Gen 2 Stormtrooper, I think is what it is. I can't remember exactly what generation his is considered, but it is much lower down than some of the other ones, where this one kind of feels like it stops at like the chin line. This one goes down much, much further, almost to the shoulder, like lower part of your neck area. So very big, heavy build. This one started as a absolute massive, massive centerpiece before you started piecing all of the different panels on. And it's a lot of different panels. There's a top panel, then there's the top sides, the top rear. Then you start kind of working your way down to each of the side pieces, with his antenna and kind of his like mohawk piece here being the very last ones to do. Visor, again, is very similar to kind of like how a Scout Trooper is. It kind of has that little boxiness to it. I think that's really cool. The roundedness of the original trilogy Stormtroopers kind of be a little more bubbly. These are a little more angular, and I really like that personally. Lot of different type of wedge pieces that are used in here to be able to make some of the angles for it, because the chin and the mouthpiece is very angular compared to a lot of the other ones where they're a little more rounded. So definitely had to have a good use of plates. I cannot tell you how many angled plates and wedges were used in this build. So many. I mean, whether on the sides, the top of the visor, here in the mouthpiece, on the cheeks here, to be able to get that kind of iconic, kind of like T-shaped for their eyepiece, which is indicative to most of the Stormtroopers' helmets. Scout Trooper being a little bit different, but for most of the Stormtrooper ones, that T-shape is very much there. And again, he's got his little antenna there. So many different wedges. There are no printed pieces on this one. I'm not counting the signs on any of them. So there's only a very few sticker pieces just here on the sides and on his chin right there. Interesting build. This one did take quite a while because it is the second largest one that I have so far. But again, so many white plates, and I had to go back and redo the instructions a few times as I did different steps, because I wasn't quite getting all of the pieces in there, or I had a piece left over. I was like, wait a second, where did that one go? And I flipped back a couple pages and I was like, oh, I missed this piece right here. But either way, the orange and white, I think it looks great. Very interesting on how, again, these also, they kind of angle, but they're just a ball joint to be able to hold those on and in there, to be able to get a little bit of the kind of the helmet coming a little bit wider. So they did those ball joints just to kind of have that natural angle there. It's a pretty interesting technique. This was built helmet first, and then the base was attached later. But yeah, very interesting build. All right, now we have Captain Rex, which is the largest of this group with 854 pieces. I think only so far, I think I have Vader. I think Vader had more pieces than this one of all the helmets that I have so far. But yeah, so again, this is also from Clone Wars. There are some screenshots here from the TV show, all in black. Now, being that this did have so many pieces, man, tons and tons of white pieces on this one. Not only plates, but in order to get this kind of like bubble down towards the bottom of the helmet, so many slopes. I mean, just so many slopes and arch pieces in there. Whoops, I knocked off the nameplate here. But again, this was kind of like a humongous cube built in the middle with all those snot pieces to really form the foundation for this one. This one also had a lot of small pieces to, like, once you put on each of the plates on most of these helmets, they were kind of done. Maybe one or two little pieces here and there. There was a lot of little extra pieces that kind of had to be pushed in at different places here and there once the build was mostly built. There are no printed pieces in this one. This probably might have one of the most sticker pieces. Red 5 had quite a few, but this one might have the most. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Right, the grill of the mask, those are printed pieces. But otherwise, he's got his kill counts up there and some breathe lines and some scarring pieces here that all are sticker elements. So yeah, so again, this bottom plume, it was a bit repetitive. I felt on it, just kind of getting these different ones on, because the back and the two sides, while are different, obviously the two sides are identical, just mirror each other. The back was also very, very similar, and it was a little bit repetitive to have to do that and so meticulous, because no piece was bigger than a 1x4. Very, very few larger plates. It's only the few that start at the bottom. Everything else is a small plate to include the 2x2, but the angular ones, you know, the right angle ones, and then a lot of 1x1s, 1x2s, 1x3, 1x4s, all in white. Again, my white table is probably not the best place to build those on. I should get out like my craft mat or something like that to build on, because it was just very hard to see all those different pieces. But again, very, very rounded, so a ton. This was probably one of the most rounded ones I've had. I mean, StarLord's pretty round, but this one just is a lot more pieces to really get that roundedness to it. He's got his little eye piece here that comes down in front of his face, which is very cool. Did I just knock off a piece? I did. See, and it's a lot of these are really adult, because they are pretty doggone fragile. I mean, they feel pretty bulky, but if you end up grabbing any of the small ports on the bottom, you will knock some pieces off. But anyways, also, I really liked here in kind of, again, I'll call these like the breathing ports of the mask, of the helmet. Those are tires. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm like, oh. And then it also came with quite a few. It came with 2 extras as well. I thought it was supposed to be doubled up. No, they're only supposed to be in their single layer. But either way, again, just a lot of small pieces that had to get put into this one. Lots and lots of white plates. This also took quite a long time. This one probably was over 2 hours of building. And again, I wasn't just hardcore at it. Like, I was watching some YouTube and kind of trying to be casual and take my mind off things. This is why I was building all of these. I've been accumulating them, kind of waiting to build them until I had the time to just sit down and build. And this one definitely did not disappoint. Again, this is where we kind of started going from the Gen 2 to, I'll call like Gen 3. I can't remember exactly what they are, but again, we're starting to go more towards the actual Stormtrooper from the original trilogy. This is kind of the precursor to what that looks like. So that's addition of 6 more helmets to my collection. I have 2 so far. I have Vader and I have the Mandalorian, which I've done videos on those before individually. But again, I've just had these and I really didn't want to do 6 individual videos. I thought this would be a good way to just show off some of the new ones that I've been accumulating over the past few months. I do hope to get the original Stormtrooper one soon. I would really like to get the original TIE Fighter one, but it goes for an exorbitant amount of money. So that one's going to be quite later, once I can either find a great deal on it or save up to buy one, because it goes well over $200 for that one. Stormtrooper goes for around 100 to 150 right now, because they're both retired. Many of these are retiring. I don't have Boba Fett. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it. I'd like him, but like, I don't know. Again, it is retired now, but I'm not sure if I'm really going to end up getting that one or not. But I'm very happy with all of these ones. I thought they were a lot of fun. Yes, it's all Star Wars and then one StarLord one, but or one Marvel one, I should say. But again, a friend of mine got that for me, and I was very thankful for that. And I really wanted to make sure that I was able to build that. So yeah, that is a look at these masks, and I hope to do some more videos once I get some more masks. And I have a couple other sets here that I'm gonna be building soon with the kids, and I also have some other modular buildings that I've built because we're working on a little city. So I have some videos coming up with that soon as well. So thank you all for joining in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a like. Check out any links down below to help the channel out. Leave a comment if you enjoyed watching this, and I will see you all next time.